depressed, extremely downtrodden members of Reddit, what is your go-to quote, phrase, or particular memory in life that keeps you going? I want to wake up in this world knowing that you're still in it. Something my friend told me. Upvote. Keep that friend. I once attempted suicide. Won't go into detail, but I woke up in the hospital. Only my dad was in the room when I woke up. I'd never seen him cry before in my life, but I could tell he had been crying over me. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, I get it. I know it's not always the way you want it and I know it's been hard, but if you could have seen your mother's face when she heard the news, you'd realize how loved you are and how devastated she would be if she lost you, no matter how down, low or crappy I feel. I think about his face and my mum's face when she came back to see me awake and push on. When I came back from the psych observation, my father said, go kill yourself again. Some people shouldn't have kids. I'm glad your dad is a better human than mine. Also, yeah, mums are a great reason to live. I don't want to die sad. Well, frick me sideways. I hadn't even thought of that. I don't want to die sad either. A poem actually. Promise me, you will not spend so much time treading water and trying to keep your head above the waves that you forget, truly forget, how much you have always loved to swim. Tyler Not Gregson. Amazing poem. Thanks for sharing. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promised to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. This got me through probably my worst period of depression ever. I was like a zombie emotionally speaking, and reciting this poem every time I felt at rock bottom or hopeless helped me hold on to myself. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Teddy Roosevelt. Now there's a fricking president. Whenever a family member dies, my mom would cry as if she's having a heart attack. Sometimes at night, I could hear her cries and her loud breathing, and it scares the crap out of me like I'm gonna lose her any second. I don't want my mom to cry like that, especially when it's BC of me. Thinking of the impact on some of my family members is what keeps me afloat also. I Like This, by Stephen Fry. It will be sunny one day. Here are some obvious things about the weather. It's real. You can't change it by wishing it away. If it's dark and rainy, it really is dark and rainy, and you can't alter it. It might be dark and rainy for 2 weeks in a row, but it will be sunny one day. It isn't under one's control when the sun comes out, but come out it will. One day. It really is the same with one's moods, I think. The wrong approach is to believe that they are illusions. Depression, anxiety, listlessness, these are all as real as the weather, and equally not under one's control. Not one's fault, but they will pass. Really they will. In the same way that one really has to accept the weather, one has to accept how one feels about life sometimes. Today is a really crap day, is a perfectly realistic approach. It's all about finding a kind of mental umbrella. Hey ho, it's raining inside. It isn't my fault and there's nothing I can do about it, but sit it out. But the sun may well come out tomorrow, and when it does I shall take full advantage. I watched a YouTube video made in South Korea that was a social experiment to see what people would do to help someone trying to commit suicide, and one part really touched me. The girl said something that I always remind myself of now when I'm feeling suicidal. It was something like, today's sunshine was too bright to do that. Your meal was too good to die today. Double quote. And on the days when I feel nothing and struggle with apathy, when I'm feeling there is nothing good to stay for, I force myself to think, today was too bland and dark to be my last. My food will be so good tomorrow. I will smile next week. I will laugh next month. And love next year. I will live for longer because it's too good to be alive to die today. Honestly, spite. I've seen friends commit suicide and then watched all the people who caused them their pain pretend to grieve and talk about how close they were or how much they loved them, etc. You can't stand up for yourself against that bulls if you're dead. On a more positive note, a quote from a Doctor Who episode I think of often is, "The way I see it, every life is a pile of good things and bad things. The good things don't always soften the bad things, but vice versa, the bad things don't necessarily spoil the good things and make them unimportant." Frick it. People like to tell me that it's not the best way to cope, but hey, it's kept me alive, so I'll take it. Resume by Dorothy Parker. Razors pain you, rivers are damp, acid stain you, and drugs cause cramp. Guns aren't lawful, nooses give, gas smells awful, you might as well live. Dorothy Parker is so underrated. I love you, Dad, my daughter. I don't have kids yet, but I'll live to be a good mom someday. Just remember, you have a success rate of 100% for surviving all the bad days so far. Keep the streak, and yourself, alive. My best friend, the girl I love the most in this world, she's not doing really well either. Seeing her try, getting better bit by bit, smile and actually enjoying moments gives me enough strength to pull through. The way she tries to get me to enjoy every day like I should even when hers is going crap is just amazing. I wish I could tell her how I really feel about her. Way she goes started as a joke quote from the Trailer Park Boys, but after using it so much it became kind of meditative. Just a deep breath and freaking way she goes, and it drives home that you can't change anything, might as well keep going. Ray saying this in reaction to his trailer burning down was just gold. I also use the phrase regularly. It reminds me of the line Vonnegut wrote many times in Slaughterhouse 5. So it goes. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality, Seneca. Wisdom comes through suffering. You've made it through 100% of your hardest times. After 5 suicide attempts, I've questioned this a bit, but I've made it through that much. I've hit rock bottom so many times, so I can sure as heck do it again and again and again. This means you have risen from rock bottom 5 times. A warrior spirit, for sure. I will not die this pathetic. Proceeds to live forever. When you're going through heck, just keep going. Even heck has an edge if you go far enough through it. Death is not an apology. This too shall pass. No quotes, phrases or memories I just keep having to get through. Underrated comment, right here. Do not go gently into that dark night. Rage, rage, rage against the dying of the light. Planning on it as my next tattoo. It is from a poem by Dylan Thomas which reads, "Do not go gentle into that good night. Just don't want you to get the wrong tattoo." 1. Just take it one day at a time. Alternatively, 2. There are still some suckers that needed fricking over with. This one is mine. I got 1B. I'll keep living just to ruin her day. If no other reason, do it out of spite. I'm definitely the kind of person to do things I usually wouldn't, not entirely capable of purely out of spite. If someone said I don't normally eat as much as everyone, so they don't have to order as much food, suddenly my appetite is unquenchable. If something inside me tries to convince me that I shouldn't be alive, I'll simply keep living to spite that feeling. TLDR. Life to spite God. Spite ILO key one of the best motivators. Just keep swimming. Bruh, same. I'm drunk by noon, but that's okay. I'll be president someday. Reminds me that even if I'm not where I want to be right now, I still have time to change that. Plus it's kind of funny. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain Lady Jessica in Dune Book 1 written by Frank Herbert. This, I nearly forgot. I've nearly died multiple times from health issues. This used to be my mantra. I used it to picture how strong I would be when this was all over. Your dog will be very sad when they don't know where you went. She won't know. My dog has the same reaction whether I go to work for 12 hours or step out to get the mail. Tee up. Also, don't be bitter. Be better. Chin up. Tee out. No single moment is unbearable. I love this quote because it reminds me that no matter how horrible I feel, no matter what I'm going through, it's not unbearable. It only lasts a moment, and then another moment, and then another. If I can just get through one moment at a time, I'll be okay. I mostly use this when I'm getting a tattoo. No matter how bad the pain is, I can withstand it for a moment, and then I get through another and another, one at a time. As a 22-year-old, I had to chart important life events as part of a school assignment. I also had to grade them from miserable to best feeling ever. I tried, and I could not think of anything to place on the chart. A lot of stuff had happened. I got put into care after leaving an abusive household, went to live on my own, got my high school diploma, etc. I could place these things on the chart, objectively, but subjectively, I could not put any feeling onto these things. They just were. The worst part of it was that I could not think of a single thing that went over the neutral zone, say a 5 out of 10 on the scale. Everything I could think of just hovered around that middle line. It dawned on me that was my depression in full play. Depression isn't feeling bad all of the time. Most of the time, it's just not feeling anything. Not happy, not sad, just big emptiness. So I haven't got an answer to your question. There are maybe some things I can pretend to be happy about, but not really, not deep down inside. It's just a windswept desert in there. This too shall pass. Mine is a variant of this. This too shall pass. It may pass like a kidney stone, but it will pass. A little less reverent, but for me it works. None of those things. Mostly video games. Same video games distract me from how crap life really is. Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. You're gonna lose. Smile, you freak. It's Bruce Willis' character in The Last Boy Scout, and it never fails to make me laugh. So yeah, when I'm feeling like I can't drag butt out of bed, I think of this and my lips quirk into a smile, sometimes even a chuckle, and somehow, some way, I manage to get my butt up, dressed, go to work, the whole nine. It can't rain all the time. Brandon, is that you? I just start singing Touch of Grey by the Grateful Dead. I like this. I still have letters to write. It's temporary. Literally everything is temporary, so make things count while it's there. Everyone and everything you love will either leave you or die. The only constant is change. Wheat is wheat. At a time where the world made sure I felt completely worthless and I was certain I'd be better off dead, I couldn't help but think of all of the dreams I'd had for the future and how I'd ruined my chances at all of them. How my art, and every creation I'd ever poured myself into, was a waste. I remember thinking very clearly, what's the point? The next day I found that quote from Van Gogh, "Wheat is wheat, even if it looks like grass to the townsfolk." It didn't cure me, but it helped. At the very least, I owe it to myself to stick around until I know for sure if I'm wheat or not, and just because I might not look or feel like wheat now doesn't mean I should give up. I love this quote, and I think the full version is worth it to your point, as the first half is really a call to the ups question. If I am worth anything later, I am worth something now. For wheat is wheat, even if people think it is a grass in the beginning. Just remember, if you kill yourself, your enemies win. It all comes down to staying alive through anger and spite. If you keep running into enemies, you must be going the right way. You're only allowed to feel like this for 15 minutes a day. Do what you need to do to be in that dark place in your mind. Cry if you need to. Let me hold you during that time. Complain. Scream. Do whatever you need to, but only for 15 minutes. Do not let it consume you or control your life for the rest of the day. I remember my friend who took her life in high school remind myself of all the people her death touched, even if she hadn't known them. Then I start thinking about all the people around me and how they'd have to deal with it. Then I think about all the things she's missed since and tell myself I can make it. I have this one memory of my boyfriend messing around and being goofy with me, poking at each other, tickling, small kisses all over my face, using these random nicknames that he's come up with. Everything he knows will make me smile even though I'll act like I hate it. I had a bad day, so he was just holding me and doing those things to cheer me up, and out of nowhere he told me he loved me, for the first time. We had the weird tension where we wanted to say it but didn't want to be the first to say it, and it just makes me so happy to think about it. Almost dead yesterday, maybe dead tomorrow, but alive, gloriously alive, today. You have been visited by the wisdom pupper type. Study well pupper or you will fail your next text at school. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.